One of the most unexpected challenges that the Walt Disney Company is facing right now is the complete breakdown of support from their once loyal critics. These were the same industry insiders who had previously backed every ideological push Disney shoehorned into its franchises. But now, they're turning on Disney, delivering brutally honest reviews, and finally calling out the failures of Snow White. And this shift is backfiring in a major way on Bob Iger, Rachel Zegler, and everyone else involved in the project, including director Marc Webb and writer Greta Gerwig. At this point, the biggest shock isn't just the backlash, it's the fact that even Disney's own fans aren't resonating with the movie. That's a disaster. And here's the kicker, it's not even just about agendas anymore. Let's put that aside for a moment and look at the film as it is, a disastrous movie on every level. The pacing is a mess, the acting is uninspired, the writing is weak, and the directing is all over the place. Across the board, it's just one failure after another. Now, let's talk about Bob Iger. He's desperate to salvage his legacy before he steps down as CEO in 2026. That's still the plan, and he wants to frame himself as the guy who fixed Disney before handing it off to a new leader. But with the endless backlash over Snow White, Disney is scrambling to shift the blame. And who's the scapegoat this time? In a sudden and unexpected move, Bob Iger has reportedly fired the entire marketing team responsible for promoting Disney's Snow White. This team was widely seen as the driving force behind the film's horrendous PR strategy. And now, they're being thrown under the bus as Disney tries to distance itself from the catastrophic failure of the movie. The marketing team behind Disney's Snow White was responsible for overseeing the film's trailers and TV spots, but once those efforts failed and the negative reviews started pouring in, even from Disney's once loyal critics, Bob Iger wasted no time in getting rid of the entire department. As a result, Disney will no longer be using this team for any upcoming Marvel films or future live-action remakes. But the fallout doesn't end there. In a major shakeup, both Greta Gerwig and director Marc Webb have also been let go from the Walt Disney Company entirely. Gerwig was reportedly on the verge of securing a huge writing deal for an upcoming X-Men film under Marvel Studios, a contract that was nearing completion. However, after the Snow White disaster, Bob Iger and Disney executives scrapped the deal, cutting all ties with her for future projects. Meanwhile, Marc Webb was also set to co-write an upcoming Marvel project, one that involved Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man making a return to the MCU. But following the monumental failure of Snow White, combined with test audiences and critics rejecting his directing style, his involvement in that project was also cancelled. This entire situation mirrors what happened back in summer 2024 when Bob Iger took similar action against the marketing team behind The Acolyte. After that series flopped, failing to resonate with both Star Wars fans and new audiences, the same response was taken: fire the entire team and move on. Now, by cutting ties with both Gerwig and Webb, Disney has made one thing very clear. They've lost all faith in them and are done taking risks on their projects. Disney now wants nothing to do with Greta Gerwig or Marc Webb, fully aware that their names are now box office poison for the general audience. The failure of Snow White has left a lasting impact, and Disney executives know that attaching these two to any future projects would only invite more backlash. This entire situation is unfolding in a pattern eerily similar to what happened with the Acolyte series. Bob Iger appears to be repeating history, firing teams and scapegoating individuals in an attempt to preserve his own image, or at least what remains of it. However, the situation worsens. In a last-minute decision, Iger and the Disney board have also fired numerous artists and animators who worked on Snow White. This move aligns with Iger's ongoing cost-cutting strategy, which aims to eliminate funding for what he deems as unnecessary areas of production. But these Snow White-related firings are just the beginning. Disney is now seriously reconsidering several live-action projects that were set to double down on DEI-focused storytelling. Among the projects on the chopping block are The Sword in the Stone, Hercules, and a new diverse adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. While some board members support Iger's decision, others are heavily divided over halting these productions. This all comes just weeks after Rachel Zegler was fired from multiple Disney projects. Once viewed as a rising star, she is now labeled a high-risk actress, largely due to the controversies surrounding Snow White and her own PR missteps. One of the most notable roles she lost was her part in Pirates of the Caribbean, a deal that was officially scrapped as Disney cut ties with her. For years, Disney has tried to maintain the illusion that Bob Iger is a visionary leader, a steady hand, guiding the company through turbulent times. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth. His return as CEO, after previously stepping down, was meant to signal a new era of stability, innovation, and renewed audience trust. Instead, it has done the exact opposite. Under his leadership, Disney has not only lost its magic, but also its financial stronghold, creative integrity, and audience loyalty. Once the industry's gold standard, Disney now finds itself at a crossroads, desperately trying to recapture the magic of the past while continuously alienating the very fans who made it successful in the first place. But nothing embodies this. Downfall quite like Snow White, Disney's latest live-action adaptation, which has been plagued by controversy, backlash, and reshoots long before its release. To keep up appearances, Iger has pushed for new projects, hoping to distract audiences from Disney's consistent failures. However, each new announcement seems less inspired and more desperate than the last. Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, a reboot that no one asked for, attempting to revive a franchise without Johnny Depp, the actor who made it an international phenomenon. Despite the fan outcry demanding his return, Disney refuses to acknowledge the mistake, instead moving forward with a vision that lacks the very heart of the original series. Spiral. Originally, Rachel Zegler was supposed to voice a new character in the next installment of Toy Story, but given the backlash surrounding her comments and her growing reputation as one of Hollywood's most controversial rising stars, it's uncertain if this plan will ever materialize. Disney has hinted at a number of top-secret projects meant to excite fans and reignite interest in their brand. But given their recent track record, it's hard to believe these projects will bring anything fresh or meaningful to the table. At this point, Disney's mystery projects seem like nothing more than a PR stunt, designed to keep investors hopeful while the company scrambles behind the scenes. Despite Disney's efforts to downplay the controversy surrounding Snow White, the film has already become one of the most divisive projects in the studio's history. Backlash over casting and story changes. From the moment Rachel Zegler was cast, fans were skeptical. But once her old interviews surfaced, where she openly mocked the original film and its themes, the backlash escalated into full-blown outrage. Production, nightmares, and reshoots. Originally wrapped in 2022, Snow White has reportedly gone through 3 rounds of reshoots, continuity errors, and major script adjustments, clear signs of a film in complete disarray. A public feud between co-stars? Speculation about a potential rift between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot has only fueled more intrigue. Unlike Zegler, who has been vocal in interviews, Gadot has remained silent, skipping major press events, leading many to wonder whether Disney is keeping her out of the spotlight on purpose. Disney's box office troubles continue. The disappointing performances of The Marvels and The Little Mermaid, all eyes are on Snow White to see if it will suffer the same fate. With audiences already rejecting the film's changes and lackluster marketing, it's not looking promising. Failure of Snow White won't just be another box office misfire, it will be a symbol of Disney's larger creative and corporate failures. Audiences are losing interest. Years of uninspired remakes, forced messaging, and cash-grab sequels have led to audience fatigue. Viewers don't want a modernized, deconstructed version of their favorite childhood classics. They want good stories that respect the original material. Disney's brand trust is crumbling. Fans who once viewed Disney as the gold standard for animation and storytelling now see it as a company more concerned with pushing corporate agendas than delivering meaningful content. This has resulted in diminished brand loyalty, declining merchandise sales, and shrinking box office returns. Critics are turning on Disney. Even critics who once raved about every Disney project are now openly criticizing the studio. Many are acknowledging what fans have been saying for years. Disney is prioritizing messaging over magic, and it's costing them dearly.